The following is a special news presentation of 1230 WSOO, Sault Ste. Marie. Good evening and welcome to the League of Women Voters, the Eastern Upper Peninsula's Chippewa County Commission Candidate Forum. The panel portion of this candidate forum will conclude around 9 p.m. Election Day is Tuesday, November 3rd. Polls open at 7 a.m. and close at 8 p.m. Absentee voting is happening now, and you no longer need an excuse to vote this way. So if you want or need to apply for an absentee ballot, visit the Michigan Secretary of State's website for an application or talk with your township, city, or county clerk. Election information, including deadlines for absentee voting and registering to vote, as well as information about polling locations and identification, are on the League's election resource, www.vote411.org. I'm your moderator for this County Commission Candidate Forum, Mark Sanangelo. I'm the Operations Manager at Sovereign Communications and the morning show host here on 1230 WSOO. And the team helping to make tonight a success is Amy. She's our timekeeper, operating the digital clock. She's doing double duty tonight, also taking your questions. Kelly and Paul are working behind the scenes on Zoom and YouTube technology so that we can be here virtually. Thank you to our volunteers for their work to make this forum happen tonight. We are also broadcasting tonight live on 1230 WSOO and streaming on our website, 1230WSOO.com, as well as the League's YouTube channel. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization and encourages informed and active participation in government. It works to increase understanding of major public policy issues and influences policy through education and advocacy. The League of Women Voters is strictly nonpartisan. It neither supports nor opposes candidates for offices at any level of government, nor does it support or oppose political parties. Any event sponsored by the League of Women Voters will be conducted with the utmost respect of neutrality and nonpartisanship. Our intention here tonight is to conduct a public event with fairness and even-handedness. We thank you all for attending this evening's forum or listening on the radio or online. We look forward to a lively discussion about issues important to all of us here in Chippewa County. And thank you to our candidates for stepping up and deciding to run for office. Democracy takes sacrifice and courage, and people who run for office exhibit these qualities. So thank you, each of you. Before I introduce the candidates, let me review the ground rules for this evening's event. Typically, at an in-person candidate forum, we would have a table at the back of the room with candidates' campaign literature. But since we're all here together virtually, the League recommends that you check each of the candidates' websites. You can, of course, learn more about them at vote411.org. For tonight's forum, everyone except myself and the panelists speaking is muted to reduce distractions and to allow the candidates to have your attention. We hope you will ask questions, and if you do have a question for the candidates, we ask that it be written in a way that both candidates may answer, that is respectful, and that you put it in the Q&A area. Amy will read through or Heidi's going to read through the questions, try to find 3 or 4 that best encompass what you are wanting to learn. Unfortunately, we only have time for a few questions, so we'll not get to everyone's questions tonight. Candidates' responses will be timed by League volunteers. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to make an opening statement. We have actually decided that we didn't draw because we're not together, so we're going to go in alphabetical order by their last name. After the opening statements, candidates will take questions and will alternate who speaks first. Following the introductions of the candidates, candidates will have each have 1 minute to respond to questions asked by the League, by you, the audience, and by members of the community who emailed or Facebook messaged us before the start of tonight's event. Again, responses to these questions will also be limited to 1 minute. Again, candidates, thank you for joining us tonight. So let's get started. And who do we have here? We have Eric Barron joining us, Don McLean, Jim Martin. Do we have Mr. Johnson and Mr. Savoy with us tonight?
Hey, Mark, this is Amy.
Amy.
I think we may actually have Mr. Savoy. I think he's as a participant.
Okay.
So if you can see the participant side, the last 4 numbers are 6629. At the top of my screen.
Yep, I see right there.
him.
Yep. Okay.
So we might need to find out if we can hear him before we continue.
Okay, well, let's see. Mr. Savoy, can we hear you there, Robert? I don't know what he needs to do to...
I'm not sure if Kelly or Paul can click on a button and help us.
Technology.
Yeah.
I do not see him here in order to unclick him.
He was in the attendee list. Now he's
Oh,
not there anymore. I do not see his phone number in the attendee list anymore.
Okay, I'm sorry. That was Mr. Savoy, and he is not able to come in because he's stuck as a participant and not a panelist. You know, with Zoom, there are its challenges, and it'd be great.
Amy?
Yeah.
We could move him forward, but I don't see him on the list.
Oh, he's gonna come back in. He's gonna come and listen.
Okay.
So once he comes back in, if you can do that, that would be
Yes,
fantastic.
we
That'd
will.
be great.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry.
As we like to say in radio, please stand by.
I know. Isn't that the truth?
We're experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by. This is all new territory for all of us. So, and this Zoom and broadcasting it on the radio. I know this is maybe not the best radio, with all, us silence and everything, but there he's back there. Now he's in the attendee list. I see his phone number there. So, and there he is. Now, I don't know who's going to... Mr. Savoy, can you hear us?
I can hear you now.
Excellent. All right. Perfect.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Excellent. All right. We will get to you here in just a minute there, Bob. Let's start. We're going to do our candidate introductions. Each candidate has 2 minutes to introduce themselves. And as we said, we're going in alphabetical order. So, Eric Barron, you get the floor first. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. How's everybody doing this evening?
Very well. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad everybody can hear me. I just want to introduce myself as Eric Barron to everybody out there who may not know of me or heard of my name. Longtime resident, full-time resident of Chippewa County. Decided to run this year for District 3 County Commission. And you're right, it is a hard decision to make to run for a political seat like this. It took a lot of decision making, a lot of time to come up with that decision. Just like to thank everybody tonight for coming out, and hopefully I can answer some questions. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much there, Mr. Barron. Next up, I do not believe, is Mr. Johnson not with us, Amy?
Unfortunately, he did not make it. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. That's fine. So our next candidate for introduction is Jim Martin. Good morning, Coach. Or good evening, Coach. How are you today?
Good. Thanks for having us. Appreciate that, Mark and Amy in the league. Great to be here, and Mr. Barron, Mr. McLean, also Mr. Savoy. Long story short, it's about public service. And yes, it is a difficult decision. It takes a lot of time. But I think we need people who unite us, people who bring people together. We'll fight Lansing for our fair share, protect our small businesses, which, I mean, that's the hub of our economy. Eliminate government waste, because we need to spend every dollar wisely, and protect our environment. And most importantly, as a father of 3, attract good paying jobs here so we can keep more of our children here. I've been here for just over 25 years. My wife, born and raised here in the Sioux, and it's part of giving back. It's kind of the way I was raised. This community has given my family and myself so much. We owe them so much. And that's why I got involved in politics. Plus, as a government teacher, how great is that you can tell kids, you can get involved too, and you can be part of the process, and you can be part of the solution. Because look what I did, because quite frankly, I wasn't in politics my whole life, never ran for anything, never joined a party. but just felt like it was time to give back. And this has been a wonderful opportunity for me to give back, and at the same time still be able to teach and coach and be a father and a good husband and be active in our church. I mean, that's really the beauty of local politics, is you get to give back to your community and hopefully watch what you do grow and make the community better.
Thank you very much there, Mr. Martin. Mr. McLean, good evening. How are you this evening, sir?
Just fine, thank you. I'm Don McLean. I was born in Chippewa County and have lived and worked here most of my life. I've been married for 53 years, have a son, a daughter-in-law, and 3 terrific granddaughters, all residing in Chippewa County. I taught school for 31 years, working in the Sioux area public schools as a teacher, assistant principal, and 3 years as a principal at Sioux area middle school. After retiring, I worked part-time at Lake Superior State University while operating the family farm on 6 Mile Road. I was elected to the county commission in 2008, and I have served for 12 years, proudly representing the residents of Bruce, Dafter, Sioux, and Sugar Island townships. And that sums it up.
Thank you very much there, Mr. McLean. And Mr. Savoy, it is your turn, sir.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Like Mr. McLean, I was born and raised in Chippewa County, graduated from Rudyard High School, was drafted into the United States Army right out of school, where I served a combat tour in Vietnam. When I came home, I married my high school sweetheart. We have 2 children I raised. I attended some classes school at Northern Michigan University in Marquette, obtained my degree in certification as a police officer, joined the Chippewa County Sheriff's Office, where I served for 39 years. The last 2 terms I served as sheriff. So I've been involved since then. I've been a commissioner for 2 full terms. I've been involved in county government for 44 years. I think I have a pretty good working knowledge of every department within the county. I know what our mandated obligations are, what services we have to provide, and I feel I'm compassionate and sensitive to the needs of our citizens. And I'd like to serve some more. So thank you.
Thank you very much there, Bob. I appreciate that. We'll move on to our question and answer. And again, the answers will be just 1 minute. And Bob, since you're on the phone, we may have to cut you off if you go a little bit over, since you can't see the timer on the phone. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. And our first question is, what will you do to ensure Chippewa County works with our Native American community members, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic? And our first respondent for 1 minute will be Jim Martin. Jim?
Yeah, I think it's really important that we all work together. And obviously, as a coach, that's what I do for a living. It's very important to bring leadership together at the county level, the city level, school district. Obviously, Mr. Newland and Mr. Paymont with the tribe, that we all work together, find common ground, and fight, quite frankly, COVID or any economic issues that we have that arise out of it, that we fight those things together and we work together to mitigate what could be a very bad outcome, both medically and financially. And really, we have done a fine job. The people in the health department, Sioux Tribe, Bay Mills, city, county, have all worked tirelessly along with War Memorial Hospital to keep us safe and keep things going in the right direction. Thanks.
Mr. McLean, same question.
Okay, the tribes are very important to our community. We need to recognize that. And I know Aaron Paymont quite well. Him and we served together on the Community Action Board for a few years. I think I echo what Mr. Martin has had to say. You know, we need to work together. We need to talk and I guess conference with each other. I'm working presently, I'm chairman of the Chippewa County EDC, and we're working real closely with the tribes, with Mr. Newland and Mr. Paymont, relative to attracting industries that will better serve our community and increase jobs and make this a more prosperous place. And that's, again, the spirit of cooperation. I think the relationship between the tribes has
Thank you,
improved.
Mr. McLean. Yep, Mr. McLean. Yep, we're over past your minute there. Appreciate
That's good enough. I can shut up right there. Thank you.
Very good. Apologize for interrupting you there. And
Nope.
Mr. Savoy, you're next.
Okay, yeah, I'm very proud of the working relationship I have with the tribes. I think same way it's important that we work together, but I have a proven track record that I've worked with the tribes. Most of my close friends are tribal members, both in Sioux tribe and Bay Mills. As sheriff, I was able to obtain the very first signed mutual aid agreement with the Bay Mills tribe, and we have one with Sioux tribe, which continues to this day. So again, I'm proud of the relationship I have, and I hope to continue that.
Thank you very much, sir. And Mr. Barron.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Everybody has some great answers. I believe communication is the key. I believe all three entities have really good healthcare services in this county, and communication is a big part to just communicating with each other. Working together on this coronavirus is the big issue. And communication, I believe, is the key. Working together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Barron. Our next question is, how do you plan to keep county residents informed of new county information and to ensure there is opportunity for residents to be engaged? Our first respondent will be Mr. McLean.
The county commission in the county has a website which is updated. We do what we can to get information out to the people. I make sure the COVID has interrupted it, but I usually get to the individual township board meetings at least once every 6 months and explain and update to them what is going on with the county. I also do this with a group called the Michigan Township Association, which meets once a month at Kinross. And I always provide an update as to what's going on with county business and the latest information also on what the EDC is up to, since I'm part of that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Savoy?
Yes, I echo the same thing. Chippewa County has 15 townships, and District 5, which is my district, I have 8 of those townships out of 15. So I have a large area. I think it's important to attend the meetings, get to know the township supervisors, the trustees, and I hope to continue to do that.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Barron?
Yeah, keeping in touch with the community and everybody that lives in these districts is very important. Plan on making myself as visible as possible in these townships, you know, attending meetings, talking to people. Websites are nice if people get on there and look at them, and I'm thinking if people get out in the communities and just talk to people, keep in touch with those townships, attend all those meetings, keep people informed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Martin? Oh, you need to unmute yourself there, Mr. Martin.
I don't.
Oh. So you're still muted there, Mr. Martin.
I did it again. All right.
There you go.
Long story short here. Internet is good. I get a lot of emails. I have a lot of constituents who go to websites, have questions. It's helped us clean up our websites. That is the future of Chippewa County communication is obviously internet. Otherwise, we obviously we talk with phone and talk to people on the street. Bottom line is doing doors. You get to talk to all kinds of people, whether they voted for you or not, and talk to them about their concerns. we do have websites, especially with COVID. It's really important that they go to that website, see what we have as far as cases and whatnot that day. And also the newspaper and radio, and the fact that our meetings are broadcast is very, very important to help keep people informed so they can ask good questions. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Time for our next question. We're plowing right through these here. What professional experience has helped you with budgeting and balancing constituents' needs? And our first respondent to this question will be Mr. Savoy.
Yes, as under sheriff and sheriff, the sheriff's office has probably the largest budget in the county government and more line items. It's very extensive. I also served 12 years on local school board here and was involved in the budgeting process. I still operate the family farm here and do all of the financial decisions and bookkeeping myself. So I think I have the experience and the knowledge to continue that.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Barron?
Yeah, I've got 10 years managing a local trucking company up here in the eastern upper Michigan. Balancing and budgeting is a daily thing for me. So, and meeting the needs of the constituents is just like meeting the needs of your employees. So after 10 years of running a trucking company, I think I have what it takes to be a county commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Martin?
Yeah, as far as my professional life goes, obviously budget's tight in schools, whether we're talking our social studies department or whether we're talking our cross country or track team. Also, though, I've spent 5 years as chair of the finance committee, going through the books, itemizing, questioning charges, questioning expenditures, making sure that we run as lean a machine as we can. Fact of the matter is that our county has done an excellent job financially because we get money back from our departments every year. Our fund equity is up to about $5 million, and that's going to allow us to get through the train wreck that COVID is going to do to budgets all over the state. Chippewa County, because we have been so frugal, because we do take great care in planning our budget, we're going to be fine. We're going to get through COVID, we believe, without layoffs and without any diminishing of services.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And Mr. McLean?
I worked as an assistant principal and a principal for the Sioux area schools for a number of years. And each of those positions involved budgeting, making decisions as to how the money was spent and staffing and that type of thing. Presently, my involvement at the Chippewa County Economic Development Corporation as chairman, I'm on all of the committees, and one of them is the finance committee. And we're always looking at the money that we have and the needs that we have and how we can spend that money wisely and get attract industries and do that type of thing. So I've been involved with budgets for a long time, and it's been helpful. And I echo Mr. Martin's comments. Through the efforts of the county employees and the commission and the staff, we've kept a good lean budget, and we've accumulated funds that will help us through these difficult times. Great staff at the Chippewa County.
Thank you, sir. On to our next question. If someone came to you with a proposal to build a new piece of public infrastructure in our county, whether it's a road, bridge, community health facility, or whatever, how would you evaluate whether that project was worth implementing? And we're back around to Mr. Barron for the first answer.
Well, if someone comes to you with something, a project like that, you really got to take the time to look at it. You got to get public input. I mean, if it's a bridge or anything like that, you have environmental impact, you have cost, you have funding. Where's the money going to come from for that project? Well, there's a lot of planning that goes into these projects, which I hopefully I get to be a part of. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Martin? Bottom line here is you're looking at cost benefit analysis. Is the county, is the resident of the county or residents of the county, are they gonna benefit from this? That's, I hate to cut it so short, but really that's just it. Is the project worth the money that we put into it? Is it necessary, especially again, going forward with the budget? These are things we have to know. And we have to have the ability to basically check our ego at the door and defer a lot of these decisions to the experts that build these things or that propose these things. But if we deem that it works for us, then we move forward with it. If not, we don't spend taxpayer dollars lightly.
Mr. McLean? Oh, you need to unmute yourself there, Mr. McLean.
There you go. Thank you.
Yep.
I think that if you're talking infrastructure, one of the key parties in this choices or decisions would be, of course, the County Road Commission, if it's some kind of a bridge or road or whatever. And you would have to go through public hearings and hold public meetings to find out just what the constituents think of the idea. I've gone through a number of things where I thought it was just terrific, but you go to a public meeting and all of a sudden people come up with things that you didn't realize were a case, and you have to listen to those. And in some cases, you have to change your mind. Also, we have a resource called the Michigan Association of Counties, which hopefully would have encountered this group before and would be able to provide some background history or insight into just what it's all about. Thank you.
And Mr. Savoy?
Yes, I think by the time it gets to the county board, there's been studies, engineering studies, public hearings. A lot of these roads, bridges, and all those kind of projects, there's probably matching funds, there's state and federal grants and monies. So by the time it gets to us, I'm not aware of any commissioner that would oppose, any commissioner in the future or in the past that would oppose infrastructure improvements. So, just like my colleagues had said, I think we support that type of, and hope we have more of that type of action.
Thank you, sir. Next question is, if there is a major economic downturn in the coming year or years during your term, what are your funding priorities in Chippewa County? And I do believe our first answer this time is Mr. Martin.
Yes, thanks. First priority, obviously, is safety. Our first priority is going to be the Sheriff's Department. It's going to be Department of Corrections. But we also need to not lose sight of why people turn that direction when the economy goes south. And I think we still need to continue to invest in mental health services and help people through the things that are causing them to do that. Joblessness. We need to fund job training, Michigan Works, things like that, to get people back on their feet. Training, if that's maybe night school or trade school or something like that, anything like that we can do to help people recover, and especially in our area. The other issue is that with the mental health issue and with the drug court, we can help mitigate a lot of those problems that people have because they feel despair. And I think with our budget being what it is, we can support the things we need to support to help people get through a rough time.
Thank you, sir. Mr. McLean? Oh.
Okay, here we go. Thank you.
Yep.
I keep putting that mute and then I lose where I am relative to it. I think that, we have to look at, as Mr. Martin and Mr. Savoy have pointed out, the safety of I guess Mr. Savoy hasn't spoken yet, but there are certain things that we have to look at taking care of. Safety, the courts, the county clerk, register of deeds, and treasurer's office. Those are all public services that we provide for the county, and they make the county operations function. And we need to make sure that those are up and running. If that's handled, then you can look into other areas such as community action. If there was a downturn, we're very busy with that right now on community action. That's another board that I serve on, in providing food substance, for subsistence for people, heating help, all that type of thing. And so But the main function we have is
Oh,
county services.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Savoy.
Yes, our funding priorities are dictated by the Michigan Constitution. Like Mr. McLean said, we have to maintain a jail, a sheriff's office, a prosecutor, a county clerk, the courts, treasurer, register of deeds, and list goes on and on. But we also financially support a lot of other non-mandated departments and agencies and offices. So, I would think worst case scenario, we might have to downsize a little bit, and I hope that doesn't happen. But there are certain departments that we cannot shut down according to the Constitution.
Thank you, sir. And a final question from the League of Women Voters this evening. And our first respondent will be Mr. McLean. The Chippewa County Sheriff has expressed serious concerns about the lack of mental health services in the region. What will you do to bring relief to this health crisis in our community? Mr. McLean?
I'm quite familiar with the situation of the lack of mental health services in our community. And the sheriff has done as much as he can. We had that tragic case during the winter of a fellow who was a Vietnam veteran, got stranded up here. We weren't able to handle it, and the state couldn't find a bed for him. And the sheriff did the right thing. He went public and got some attention, and the state all of a sudden found a bed for this person, and he got the help he so desperately needed. It's something that I think you don't really understand until it hits you between the eyes, a personal kind of situation. And we need to do whatever we can. Our involvement with Hiawatha Behavioral Health is important. We need to have input there and work desperately with the state in finding the services. But I think part of it is that the community is not aware, public is not aware of just how desperate this
Thank you,
gets.
sir. Mr. Savoy?
Yes, I was surprised this question came up because last month we passed the sheriff's health budget, and I asked the undersheriff and jail administrators there. I was the commissioner that asked, is there any increases in mental health? And they said no. We did add an extra nurse to the jail. But there's not a sheriff in the country that won't tell you there's not a mental health problems in the jail. And in Michigan, this was created back about 12 or 13 years ago under the Granholm administration. They sought a AG, Attorney General opinion, that the opinion said that the state did not have to provide any mental health services in the county jails. So we had an excellent program going with the Hiawatha Behavioral Health, but they had to pull out, and it forced the 83 sheriffs to make contractual
Thank you, Mr. Savoy.
services.
We've run out of time there for your response. Thank you, sir. Mr. Barron?
Yeah, I agree with Mr. Savoy on that. Funding's a big issue when it comes to mental health services. I mean, working locally with local mental health services, but there is a big lack of funding. And I think we also see a lack of training in that area too. That's been brought to my attention, is we need to implement some more training in that area through the sheriff's office and the jails in this community. Thank you.
Mr. Martin?
Yeah, this was something just a month or so before the pandemic that I dealt with Mr. Meister and Farnquist and Mr. McKinney at HBH. And yes, I had talked to the undersheriff and Lieutenant Stanaway also. And it breaks your heart, the people who need mental health services in our jail. And we do the very best we can. In the end, we ended up subcontracting out to a local mental health professional to try to get help for people who desperately need it in our jails. It's one of the reasons why they're there. And you ask anybody in corrections how many prisoners, if you will, that they see every day who aren't really criminals, but who have mental health illness, and they make bad choices because of it. This is someplace we have to go. We have to visit. We have to find money to take care of this problem. But, we can't do it ourselves in Chippewa County. We need help from Lansing, period.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. And that concludes the questions that were posed prior to the night from the League of Women Voters. We'll now open it up for any audience questions, and our timekeeper who's doing double duty, Amy, do we have any questions from the audience to be asked?
We don't so far. So for those that are sitting on, it looks like we have 13 attendees. We would love to see some of your questions so that we could ask them.
Okay. If you get any, let me know, and we'll certainly get to them. I did have a couple questions that I wanted to ask, and I guess we're to Mr. Savoy. He'll be answering first at this point. Obviously, we're in the middle of this COVID pandemic. It started back in March, and it continues. A lot of us, I don't think, thought at the time that it was going to be here in October, just a few weeks away from Election Day. Still talking about COVID-19 and being in this. Obviously, so many different aspects of our society have been affected by it, but it's obviously economic is a big part of that. Mr. Savoy, what's your biggest concern once we get to the other side of this pandemic, the maybe some long-lasting effects on the county, and how would you address those?
Well, I think it's going to be taking a major impact on our small businesses. I see a lot of them that will probably never open again. I don't see restaurants going back to full capacity. All other small businesses. And because of that, there's a lot of people in this county that work in those types of jobs, and it's going to create some real financial issues and burden to them. Again, when you have a downturn in the economy, you have more mental health, you have more crime, you have more alcohol and drug abuse and use. So the trickle-down effect is huge on the county. And I think we spoke tonight, we don't know where the state and federal budgets are going to come in. Will we get revenue sharing? So we have some huge...
Yep, we've come to your minute. I appreciate that. Maybe a little bit too much of a question for 1 minute there. But Mr. Barron, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in business right now in the trucking industry, and we felt a huge impact, during the beginning of the coronavirus. But a lot of companies were shutting down, laying people off. The steel industry took a big hit for quite a few months. It's still not back to recovery, but small businesses are dying every day. Some of them aren't going to come back. And we really need to focus on small businesses. Myself, as having my own small business, it's just not there right now. And I don't think it's going to come back. It's going to be really hard, excuse me, for this country to get back on its feet. And we really need to put focus behind these small businesses. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Martin?
I agree. Small business is at the heart of our community, economically, socially, and obviously is a place to work. I'm a little more optimistic. I think come March, April, when we get that vaccine, there's so much pent up demand that people are going to go out and they're going to buy more. They're going to eat out more. They're going to really get back to the things that they missed during COVID. I believe the economy will be back. I do agree, though, there will be some small businesses that will not make it. But I really am optimistic that we're going to bounce back quickly because of the pent up demand. Those of us who are gainfully employed, we haven't been able to spend money. We haven't been able to go anywhere. We haven't been able to do a lot of things. And I think we're not alone in our household, that people are going to go out and they are going to help invigorate the community. And hopefully, like at our house, we go out to eat downtown once a week, just to try to help out our small businesses there. We all need to do that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And Mr. McLean?
At the onset of the pandemic, Mr. Martin came with a suggestion that we should cut back the fees for the various food establishments in the community. And we did that. And I think that was appreciated, although it's not a lot of money. We need to continue to expand this in the areas of business regulation if we can cut back fees and help small businesses in that way. We need to continue the grant applications that will help local businesses survive. EDC and EUP Regional Planning have worked with the Upper Peninsula organization to process the applications for the COVID money that has helped some small businesses. It's not a lot, but it helps some. We're going to be needing to put a lot of effort into economic development. At the present time, we're doing a number of things at the county EDC, and we'll have to put more emphasis into that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Amy, any questions from the audience yet?
No, unfortunately, they must be so interested in everybody's comments that they can't come up with a question because they are just glued to this.
They're
I
so
am. You guys are
riveted.
doing a great job.
Oh,
Well, we appreciate that.
Wait, we got one question.
Good. Go ahead.
What will you do about the homeless in our county?
And our first respondent, I believe, at this point is, I don't hate to say, I think it's Mr. Barron this time.
All right. Well, that's a pretty big issue, actually. We've been known as kind of the end of the bus stop for some of these poor people. I mean, they just get put on buses, given a one-way ticket, and we have been the recipient of some of these homeless people. I mean, we need to do more and look at more funding for homeless shelters and a little bit more community support for the homeless. Thank you.
Mr. Martin?
I agree. It is a problem that's too big for any one entity, any one agency. It is a community issue, community problem. I believe you have to pull in. We have so many homeless children in our public schools. It is so upsetting that so many kids are in a position of being homeless. I think the average age of a homeless person in Chippewa County is like 14 years old. But it takes the effort of the churches and the schools and the county and the city and the Salvation Army and other service organizations, United Way, to try to take care of the homeless as best we can. We are not a rich community, but we are a community that gives. And people I've seen for decades here just give and give and give and help and help and help, because that's what Sault Ste. Marie, that's what Chippewa County is about.
Mr. McLean? You gotta unmute yourself there, sir. Oh, you're still muted. Mr. McLean, I think you're still muted there, sir. He's stuck on mute.
Bottom left, Don.
Maybe the cat tripped over the wire or something like that. Do you want us to come back to you, Mr. McLean? Yes or no?
Just shake your head.
Yeah, okay. We'll let you figure it out. We'll go down to Mr. Savoy and get your response. Bob?
Yes, unfortunately, homelessness is a problem. It's a problem nationwide. And, it's only going to get worse if the economy goes south anymore. So I agree, we do a lot in this community to support homelessness, but I don't think we can ever do enough. We just have to keep continuing, to serve them and help them.
And Don, did you find the button there? Did you get on a different screen maybe? There's a couple different screens that maybe you need to click around there. So I'm not going to be much help. I'm more of a non-visual person than he can hear me. I know, but I don't think he's lost his mute button.
Hopefully he can get it back. In the meantime, while he's finding it, and
yep.
Mr. McLean, if you can find it, it's that little microphone on the left. But hopefully you'll find it quickly. We do have a participant question, and it sounds like since we're having a lot of questions, this participant was wondering about revenue. So because we covered issues about homelessness and about mental health, and obviously our community has big challenges, and that money has to come from somewhere. And so the participant has asked, if you were elected, would you be willing to support a tax increase to pay for additional services for our community members?
And I think we'll start with Mr. Martin. Looks like Mr. McLean's trying to call into to here, so we're get some help here. Maybe Paul's on the phone with him to get it fixed. So, Mr. Martin, we'll start with you. See if we get Don fixed up here in a second.
If there is a need, and if I'm quite frankly a big fan of popular sovereignty. Let the people decide. Put a bonding issue out there. If it's something that the community wants and is willing to pay for, then we have an obligation to do that for the community. The budget, though, right now is very, very tight. So as far as new spending, that's like the infrastructure, cost benefit analysis, and do the people want it? And if people want it, we'll find a way to pay for it. But I much prefer a bond issue or some issue before the voters, and let the voters decide if they're willing to fund something like that. And if they are, great. If not, we will help when and where we can. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Mr. McLean, did we get a resolution? Nope, still no resolution. I feel sorry. This technology is great when it works, and boy, when it doesn't, it's a pain. We'll come back to you. We promise you. We'll get you back here and get you a chance to answer those questions. We'll move on to Bob Savoy. Bob?
Yes, if there's a need, again, I'd like to say I like to be open-minded about additional programs, but if there's a need, I think it's the county board's responsibility to put it to the citizens, at least put it on the proposal, a bond issue, or however we do that, and let the citizens decide, because we're here to serve, to pave the way and to serve the citizens. And I think in my opening said I'm sensitive to the needs of the citizens. So if there's a need for a program and they want a millage or a tax, it's our responsibility to provide that.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Barron?
Yeah, I agree. When it comes to tax increases, everything has to be looked at. And I agree with the rest of the people on the forum tonight that, yeah, it has to be put to a vote. Let the citizens decide. If the citizens decide that they want to spend more money to have more funding for programs, then that's the way it should be. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. McLean still having some issues? Could we get him just to maybe call in like Mr. Savoy is, and at least he could participate that way?
This is Amy. I'm sure that Paul or Kelly's trying that very thing right now. So hopefully he can come in. We'll give him 3 minutes, one for each question he missed, 1 minute for each. We do have one more question.
Okay.
It comes from an organization in the UP, I guess it's in Northern Michigan and UP, called Center for Change. Their question is, what are your thoughts about climate change and how that is affecting our county?
All right. And since Mr. McLean's still having some issues, I guess we'll start with Bob Savoy. Bob?
Yeah, I don't know climate can change, but I can tell you I'm a 4th generation family run the farm here, and things have changed. We have peaks and valleys now. You have real cold, real wet, or exceptionally dry. When I baled hay when I was a kid, you'd go 3 or 4 weeks in just 70 every day in a cool breeze. We used to pray for a day of rain so we could get a day off, but now we just have one summer super dry, next one is so wet you can't get your crops off. So there's definitely something going on, if you believe in climate change or not. So I think it's a real concern, and it's a concern we need to address in the future. I don't know what we can do at the local level, but there is a need.
Mr. Barron?
Yeah, it's a need to be looked at, like Mr. Savoy said, whether you believe in climate change or not. I mean, there is something happening there. I'm in the same boat as he was there for a while taking hay off. I mean, you really see the differences in the climate over the past few years. What to do about it? Is it man-made or natural? I mean, that's a big question. I mean, everything has to be looked at, but in the end, you just kind of have to deal with the weather we're getting now and move on. Thank you.
Mr. Martin?
Yeah, it's a tough thing for local government to deal with. How do we contribute to making the climate better? Obviously, it's important that we all recognize that something is going on. As to what the cause is, there seems to be a lot of debate about that. A lot of it obviously is going to have to do with fossil fuels, but at the same time, we can't dump our economy. We simply have to have fossil fuels at this point. The technology is not there to do otherwise. Obviously, we want to invest in green technology, but that's more of a state and a federal issue. It's tough for us to do that. What we need to do is conserve as much as we can, and realize that the world is changing, and we need to get out front of this. I think there's a huge chance that we can have some economic growth here if we look at green energy, especially wind energy, based on the wind that we have.
Thank you, sir.
I'm back here.
Yay! He's back.
It was a struggle. I still don't know how I did it, but here I am.
As long as you don't touch that button again there, Don.
Okay, now I'm assuming the question dealt with climate change, that type of thing. And I have to echo what Mr. Savoy said relative to that. I'm a farmer. I've been a farmer for years and years, and I see the difference here. And we need to do what we can to clean up the environment, so on and so forth. One of the interesting developments that has taken place in the county just lately is the new solar farm that's gone in near Pickford. I was out and drove by it the other day, and it's really amazing. There's 40 acres of solar panels that Pickford Township has gotten in, and it's going to be put on the network or whatever it is that they power runs through. But that's one of the interesting developments. At the EDC, again, we're trying to do what we can for clean energy and that type of thing. It's a struggle, but we need to keep looking for what we can do. Thank you.
Amy, do we want to let Mr. McLean answer the other two questions that he was unable to because of the technology issues?
I think that sounds like a wonderful idea.
Okay, so since you asked the questions, I'll let you ask them. So.
Oh, that means I have to remember what questions those are.
One was regarding homelessness.
That's right. So we had one, what will you do, or can you do if you're elected to help with our homelessness challenge in the community? And then do you want to just stop there? He can answer it, do a minute, and then.
Yeah, I would say let's do that one,
Okay.
then we'll come back to the other one. Mr. McLean?
I think we need to, I guess I look at the developments just lately, the new Arfstrom Font House that's going to be opening out on 3 Mile Road for high school students that are couch surfing or that type of thing, to help them out there. The Salvation Army and other community agencies have programs that, I'll get back on the screen here, programs that help the homeless when we find them. The problem is not being able to find them sometimes. And Mr. Barron had a very good point. We're at the end of the bus route here. When other communities have a problem with homelessness, they give them a ticket as far north as they can get, or they end up in the next town, and we finally end up at the border. The border says you can't go across, so they're in Sault Ste. Marie. We need to reach out to those things. We need to organize help through the United Way and those agencies. They're already doing some things, but those need to be expanded.
Thank you on that one there. And then the final question there, Amy.
So the final question from Mr. McLean is if what would you support a request for a tax increase? So we had mentioned how we had mentioned already on this forum about the mental health and homelessness challenges. And now we also have addressed climate change, potentially some climate change challenges to our county. So would you support a tax increase to pay or to help fund some of these issues?
I am always a little cautious about tax increases, and this is a worthy one. We have been successful with previous tax increases. One was for community action for the senior programs and also for the Meals on Wheels and that type of thing. The community supported that tremendously. I think if we're going to do that, we need to be real careful. We need to do a lot of education relative to the letting the people know what the issues are and how we can address them and how we plan to address them. But increasing taxes is a real ticklish issue anywhere, and in particular in Chippewa County. But I believe if the people understand the need, see the need, that they will respond.
Very good. I think that gets you all caught up to everybody else there, Don. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Amy, any other questions from the audience? I know we're getting close to the end here. It's 8:56 right now.
Nope, we are question free. So if, oh wait, actually, let me see here. It looks like there's a few, oh wait, there's one, here's a good one. A lack of connectivity is a real hardship in the county. What will you work on to get reliable, affordable service the last mile? So maybe perhaps this could be the last question and then conclusion.
Yeah, we'll do this. This will be our last question for the night. Then we'll do closing statements, and we'll start with Mr. Barron. Mr. Barron?
This is an ongoing issue nationally as well as locally. This is all over the news all the time about rural internet. I think this county has moved in the direction a little bit on the positive for trying to get connectivity. It's going to be tough. It's going to cost a lot of money to get internet into these rural people, but we have to just continue to work with state, local, and federal government and try to get the funding to push this internet into these rural communities. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Martin?
Yeah, actually, I was just dealing with this with the ISD last week. Right now, Jason Kronemeyer over at the ISD and their technology department right now doing a tremendous job literally creating hotspots all over the county in virtually every small town, every hamlet, every village that they can find, because the COVID has really magnified how important it is to have internet. It's no longer a luxury item. It is something that is mandatory. It's something that's part of the 21st century. It's something our children have to succeed, whether they stay here or go somewhere else. And the ISD and the schools, in partnership with private business, which is really cool that they're working together to make this happen for Chippewa County. And I think in the long run, we're going to be a beacon for a lot of areas on that way.
Thank you, sir. Mr. McLean?
Yes, the issue of connectivity has been around for a long time. I've been on the county commission 12 years. It was one of our issues that we started with. We had a big project lined up. Unfortunately, the federal government decided not to do that. Presently, we have a program, or the Intermediate School District has been extremely active in this, along with the Eastern UP Regional Planning. And that has resulted in a company called Merit, or an organization called Merit, to actually come to the county and let us know that they are interested, or they are applying for CARES Act money to put in 70 miles of fiber optic cable in Chippewa County. And this would be sort of the middle mile that is missing now. We still don't have the last mile done, but this is a step in the right direction, I believe, and I hope we can continue it.
And Mr. Savoy?
Yes, our rural children, they're certainly disadvantaged with connectivity, but I think we've made great strides in the last year or two. It looks like there's a lot of things in the frying pan right now that will improve on that. And we need to do that, especially with this COVID-19 and a lot of people are, taking classes and doing things online. We need to make some improvements, but I think we're on the right path. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And that concludes the question and answer portion of tonight's forum. It's now time for each candidate to get a minute and a half to do a closing statement. And we'll start with Jim Martin. Jim?
Thanks. Again, WSOO and League of Women Voters, thanks for having this forum. My closing statements are rather simple and concise. This is about public service. This is about, quite frankly, and yes, pun intended, Coach Martin has a track record. We've been fiscally responsible. We have worked together. Our board has, quite frankly, with our administrator, 3 Democrats and 3 Republicans, yet most of our votes are unanimous because we check our egos at the door. We aren't partisan in any way, shape, or form. We do the people's business. And quite frankly, you've got 6 tightwads helping to run the county. And as such, it's allowed us to, in that frugality, it's allowed us to put money away in the rainy day fund. And let's face it, with COVID-19, it's pouring outside. But that's what it's for, and that's why we are so tight with the money. It is not an effort, though, just of the county commission. It's an effort of all of the departments, which are professionally run, and who will, at the end of every fiscal year, give us money back, and we will, in kind, then not cut their budget the next year. And it's allowed the county to grow and prosper, but more importantly, to be secure in our budget, and also be able to take care of the promises that we have for our retirees. And moving forward, that we can keep this county strong. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. McLean?
Yes, I want to thank the League of Women Voters for this opportunity to introduce myself and to present and explain my position on these various issues. Chippewa County is a great place to live, work, and raise a family. I want to continue to work with all the residents to make it even better for the elderly, the families, and our young people. As Mr. Martin said, over the years, the county commission and the county employees have very frugally kept check on the spending. And as a result, the county is in reasonable financially solvent condition now, and we should be able to ride through this. Hopefully it won't end, or it won't run too long, but that's part of it. But I believe there's still lots of work to do, and I hope that I'm going to do a campaign pitch that the voters will vote for me so I can continue to work as your commissioner on Chippewa County efforts.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Savoy?
Yes, I think 2 of the most important things to me as the commissioner are our children and our seniors. And I have dedicated 44 years as a public servant serving this community and our citizens. I did say I have a good understanding of working knowledge of the county departments and different agencies. I've been involved in this for many, many years. And I think I have a proven track record that the citizens trust me. I've been elected 3 times, and I hope I will be elected the 4th time. I still have more to give. I care, and I would like to hope that I make a difference. So thank you. I appreciate being involved in this tonight, and everyone that put all the effort into allowing us to do this. And we need to do more of these things. It's an awkward year for campaigning. I do hundreds and not thousands of doors, and you can't do that this year. So this is the only opportunity I have. So please support me and let me continue to serve. Thank you.
And finally, the last closing statement will be from Mr. Barron. Sir?
Yeah, I would like to thank you, Mark, and WSOO, and Amy from the League of Women Voters. It's been a privilege to be included in this evening, and to all the other candidates that were here tonight. Thank you. A lot of great questions, a lot of good answers. As a lifelong resident of this county, as the other candidates have said in their statements, I look forward maybe to getting my chance to serve the public and be a part of that county commission. I just really enjoyed this opportunity. I'm a newcomer. I think I got a lot of great fresh ideas, and I think I can help move this county forward in the future. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And that brings this evening's forum to a close. I want to remind you, first of all, let's thank all the candidates for their participation. Eric Barron, Jim Martin, Don McLean, and Robert Savoy for joining us here tonight. Thank the audience here for attending this evening's forum as well. We want to remind you to visit www.vote411.org for your election information. And don't forget to vote. It's just a few weeks away, November 3rd. Or get your absentee ballot into the clerk's office as soon as possible. You didn't miss too much of the vice presidential debate. That's underway right now. So you can flip over there and watch the fireworks over there. We didn't have too many fireworks here, but we had a good conversation, a lot of great ideas, and we appreciate. I want to thank Paul and Amy and everybody who worked so tirelessly to put this event on, and appreciate them allowing WSO to be a participant in this. And I agree. I'd like to do more of these. I've always wanted to do one of these here on the radio station. I think this is a great first opportunity for us, and we look forward to hosting more. There will be another forum next week, and actually we're going to carry it here on WSO for the two candidates that are running for the 107th House District, and we'll have more about that in the next week, but that'll be next Wednesday night as well. So Amy, did I forget anything, Amy?
No, you did a fabulous job as a moderator. So thank you so much, Mark and WSOO. And thank you so much to all the candidates. Thank you. We really, truly do appreciate you stepping up. And there was two candidates that weren't able to make it tonight, but we wish everyone well in your campaigning. And for voters, please go out, get that absentee, get it turned in, and go vote November 3rd.
Absolutely. Well, that'll conclude it. We'll let the people that shut it down. Thanks for joining us here on 1230 WSO, Sault Ste. Marie.